Joining me now for reaction, former acting commissioner of the United States Border Patrol, Mark Morgan, along with talk radio host Dana Lash. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Mark, I want to start with you because, you know, Biden was supposedly going to return to the norms and do things the way they were supposed to be done by the book. But that's not what's happening.
You know, Jason, he talked about unity, and this is another important element. Everything that you just rattled off has been done with a stroke of a pen. EOs or White House directive memos from DHS or other components within DHS. Look, what we're seeing right now is the most radical single piece of immigration legislation this country has ever seen. And if we want to talk about meaningful immigration reform, we have to talk about securing our borders. And part of that, as you said in your opening, is addressing the illegal immigration crisis. Open borders and mass amnesty is not the problem. And let's be clear about this. Let's make no mistake that right now, this is not going to be the last amnesty request. You're living a pipe dream if you believe that. Right now, because of the policies, we're allowing illegal aliens to enter the country, be released into the interior United States, and then protected from deportation. ICE can't do their job. And in a couple of years, we're going to have several million more illegal aliens. They're going to be the next individuals demanding for their amnesty. That is what's going to happen.
Dana, in addition to being the magnet that really these policies put into place and saying, hey, come rush the border because we're going to treat you better than we treat Americans. I mean, I guess that's what's so infuriating is these people that are here illegally, they get treated better than they do the United States citizens. And for them to cancel the rounding up and going after sex offenders who are here illegally, I can't think of anything worse than that.
Yeah, isn't that kind of the brush there? And I think that's why so many individuals are made resentful of the promotion of one group before the other in the face of law, which is not how this country operates as a republic. We are a nation of laws, and it's a particularly bad rub for those who entered the country legally and did everything that they were supposed to do, and then they see another group of individuals that are getting receiving this preferential treatment. And you make a good point as well when you talk about some of these convictions that are going to be excused from consideration when you have law enforcement looking at these cases, determining whether or not these individuals are going to be deported. I mean, drunk driving is now considered one of those exceptions, which for any other American citizen, I mean, this is horrible. And particularly in Texas, which the last I looked led the nation in drunk driving deaths. But to have something like that and for that to be made an exception, whereas for any other American citizen, that's a crime and you are called to account for it. I mean, the law gets part of one of the reasons why law has strength is because it's practiced with consistency. And when you are applying law inconsistently and penalty as a result, you're going to get a lot of people questioning your motives, and you're going to encourage more people to not follow the law.
And along with that, Mark, what does this do to the average person who works in the Border Patrol, who puts their life on the line, that goes down there, puts on that badge, and fights for the United States of America to have these kind of policies in place saying, well, don't arrest this one. And, you know, if they did this, don't worry about it. I mean, what does that do to the morale of the men and women who serve so valiantly?
Jason, it's devastating. I've talked to thousands. It's demoralizing. Look, let's take it, you know, everything that Dana said is just right. Think about, let's take ICE, for example. What the Biden administration has done already is basically to strip 90% of their statutory authorities to enforce the law and remove people. Look, I've got a copy of the latest DHS memo that went out. Look, it goes even further than that, Jason. It actually says, basically, unless you're a terrorist or a convicted rapist or murderer, you're scot-free. In fact, if you're in the country illegally before November 2020, you're off limits. And they say that those priorities, so unless you're a terrorist or a convicted rapist or murderer, you will cancel notice to appear, be released from custody. Those are their words, Jason. And even to not execute when they have a final order removal. So they've gone through the process. A judge has said, nope, they should be removed. They're telling ICE now, ignore it, let them in the country. That's absolutely outrageous. You know, American interests are taking a second seat to the interests of illegal aliens.
Dana, I've only got 15 seconds. Last word to you.
Yeah. Now, Jason, I appreciate you talking about this topic. And as for the mayor who's warning the administration, saying don't allow people to just be dumped into our towns as we're dealing with this crisis, as someone who lives in a town that lost power and water, literally took my first shower yesterday since Sunday because of all of this, I can second that. Resources have been spread thin, so the administration needs to help the state response here, and they're not doing it.
Thank you both. We appreciate you joining us tonight on Hannity.